This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
James, happy Friday, and how are you today?
I'm doing good. We're out here on the water at Bull Shoals, so we're kind of getting away from the rat race a little bit of legal world, so it's a nice break.
Are they biting yet?
So we've got 3. We got 2 browns and a rainbow. We just got out here a little bit ago, so we're just kind of getting started.
Outstanding. So you stepped away from paradise just to talk a little baseball with us for a moment. We appreciate that. Yeah. Good job on the first pitch on Saturday. It looked like a strike. That must have been fun, especially with Bobby Wernis, your former roommate, doing the catching.
Yeah, I was giving him a hard time beforehand about spiking it or this or that. It may have been a little high. I don't think it was quite a strike, but I had to take the spike out. That was the big thing.
You weren't able to stay at the game too long. Now, that was the game that they went 15-5, so, I mean, it got a little bit closer in, like, the 6th inning, and then they opened it up and went in a run rule. But how long were you able to stay? Because I know you had the whole family there, which means little kids.
Yeah, so nap time hit about the 3rd inning, and it was not one that we could salvage. So we ended up taking off about then. But, yeah, it was good to be back in the park and see Hagen and everyone, kind of just back doing their thing.
Outstanding. You ever been to Globe Life Field where Arkansas is playing this weekend?
I don't recall. I may have been once a long time ago, but we bounce around to so many different places. Honestly, it gets hard to keep track.
Well, this is a newer park. This opened when? I think it was 2020. So probably this. I don't think you have.
Probably not then.
Bigger ballpark. This is a huge field. It's 407 feet to straightaway center. It's 410 just to the left and right of straightaway center. More than anything, it's the bigness of the ballpark and not just the stands, but the outfield. That's a difference between this major league park and just about any park Arkansas plays in, with the exception of the Schwab, of Charles Schwab Field. That's a huge outfield too.
Yeah, I mean, when you're pitching, you love going to these big fields, of course. You give up balls that, in some games would take you out of the game, 2 or 3 run home run, and it's a routine pop fly. So as a pitcher, I'm never complaining about a big outfield.
What did you do you just kind of throw away Hagen's start on Friday? That's the way that I think everybody would like to look at it, because you just would expect he's a lot better coming in. It was cold and everything, so we've got all the reasons, or some might call them excuses, but there isn't anywhere to go but up for Hagen, and he's just facing a really good team today.
Yeah, I think you got to find your game speed is really for Hagen. You really can't replicate the speed of the game, your mechanics. I think he got a little sped up. I think he may have been overthrown a little bit, but he'll find that rhythm. I mean, it's not as though the stuff wasn't there. I think it's just kind of ironing it out and finding that game speed. Because you can throw bullpens, you can do scrimmages, you can do that for months on end, but things are just different in the game. And when things get a little bit different from a mechanical standpoint, that's when you can get off and not really know how to fix it on the spot.
Yeah, that's when it helps to get a visit from the pitching coach. But at that point, they're going to have to let you figure it out for yourself. And I wonder about all the time that you put into fundamentals, not just of pitching but of the game. Those small things, how to turn the bases properly, how to, the communication on cutoffs, or when to let a ball go through. You practice all of those to be ready for the game, but. It doesn't always equate being ready for it early. It just sometimes it feels like the season crept up on you. They'll say, "Oh, we're ready. We want to face somebody that's wearing a different uniform," but then the game happens, and it's like, all right, well, practice is one thing, but putting it into practice in a game, sometimes it feels like it might have come on you a little fast.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the beauty of the sport, though, compared to something like football, where you don't have that many games, as you have. Thankfully a period to kind of iron some of those things out. And so, those guys are going to be fine. The starters are good enough to figure it out. I think it's just going to be a matter of, finding that game timing, finding a way to control those nerves, and just executing as we know that they all can.
Yeah, and also the idea that, look, they didn't play a very good game on Sunday and lose, but bounce back on Monday and win the series with a really well-played game and well-pitched game. But, you know, when you're a baseball player and you're highly ranked and you get upset on your own field by an opponent that's coming out of conference and doesn't have a big name, you know, there's a reaction from the outside that's like, oh, my gosh, what just happened? This is a huge upset. But I didn't see anybody, you know, wearing the uniform worry about that too much, and it was shown to me the next day by how well they played the day after.
Yeah, and I think it's hard to beat anybody 4 times in a row, frankly. I mean, whether you're way outmatched or how it goes, and we see that in regionals all the time. Teams come in and they get beat by lesser teams, but then they bounce back and they end up winning the regional. So, you know, beating the same team, I thought that team was pretty good from watching them. I thought they had some pretty good arms. They battled well at the plate. So I think really to beat anybody 4 times is tough, and I don't think we played our best baseball, but I think we showed enough where we could kind of see, okay, if we put the pieces together, this is a legit team, and that one loss isn't really going to change that.
So thinking about some of the pitchers, like we talked about Smith, McIntyre, I think, was the most valuable pitcher of the weekend, maybe the most valuable player of the weekend. Thought Brady looked good. Cody Frank looked really good. Molina had some moments. I want to ask you about Colin Fisher. Left-hander, freshman, pitched the Monday game. He's from Noble, Oklahoma. And, he's not one of the names that I think we heard a lot about. You know, not necessarily one of those pitchers like, oh, my gosh, this kid actually made it to campus. But he's got an interesting mix. 3 different pitches, maybe 4. He can work both sides of the plate. He's got size for a freshman. He's a lefty. He threw a lot of strikes. And, you know, I think all things being equal, I was probably most impressed with him this last weekend.
Yeah, and you really need those guys who can come in who have a mix, who maybe aren't the flamethrowers. They're maybe not can't believe this guy got to campus, but reliable arms, especially young arms where you're like, well, we know what we've got here, but we're going to need a couple bonus arms to make a run really in any team. And, yeah, I was really impressed by him, you know, just his composure, his stuff, and his ability to come in, you know, from day one and really compete.
What do you think we can see here this weekend? I think if you beat Oregon State, you can definitely be 3-0 this weekend. It's just getting past Oregon State is going to be a chore. This is the best game in college baseball of the entire weekend. I mean nationally, and I think the scouts will be drooling over it. Fans are going to get a treat tonight.
Yeah, I don't know who's starting for Oregon State. I didn't see who their starter was. But I think if Hagan shows, you know, 70, 80% of what he's got and he goes out there and competes and he's able to, you know, attack the zone, you know, I don't think that this lineup, I think he can still outmatch this lineup. And then, you know, we saw bits and pieces from the offense all throughout the weekend. They can bust it open at any time. But, yeah, I mean, this is why you play for these big moments and big parks, to be able to go out and compete against, you know, some of the best players in the country and ultimately show that, you know, you're better than those guys. And that's why you came to Arkansas and came to this program.
And we think about Oregon State and, of course, the rematch from the 2018 College World Series Finals. But, I mean, Arkansas really has a lot more history with Oklahoma State, the team that they'll play on Saturday night. You know, it beat them last year. I think it was 18-1 in this ballpark. Beat them in their own regional the year before. And, hey, that 2015 Stillwater Regional, so that's that's a team you were a part of. That was the first step of getting to Omaha in 2015. And, boy, you guys really stunned the Cowboys in that weekend.
Yeah, they had a lefty who was an All-American who was really, really good that we beat the first time, and we came back and beat him again. But with Oklahoma State, those games are always chippy. I don't know why, but everyone likes to chirp a little bit. I don't know what it is about playing Oklahoma State, and we kind of saw that with Rock Reggio, and we saw that with all the offense and all the, you know, the chirping back and forth in that regional. I think it was 2 years ago. So that matchup is always, you know, must-see TV, just kind of based on the history and how those teams compete.
I don't know if you've seen their new ballpark, which is really nice in Stillwater, O'Brate Stadium. Now, I remember the old place, and you do too, Allie P. Reynolds Stadium. Allie Reynolds, a former Yankee pitcher, must have been turning over in his grave if he would have known what that stadium looked like. That place was a hole in the ground, and it was wet. You remember how wet it was that weekend? You could, like, the ball would land and not move.
Yeah, it was no good. And the bullpen in the outfield, it was right on the outside. There was no way to see the game, so we were all standing on chairs, just trying to watch what's going on. Our walkie-talkie systems were down, and so it was pretty chaotic trying to figure out who's getting hot, who's coming in. We can't watch the game. We're standing on chairs out here in the mud. That was chaos, especially in a regional setting. But yeah, I haven't been to their new park, but everything I've heard about it, it's really nice. And I'm glad they got it because it's a really good program.
Yeah, it's a great program, and they needed that new thing too. So how do you take games in this weekend, James? You're a guy that likes to watch, but people have to pay $30 and not even know if the connection's going to hold with Flow Sports. I keep telling them radio is free. If you can't make it to the ballpark, radio always works. So how do you take in Arkansas baseball this weekend?
Yeah, I think you get a couple buddies together. You get some pizza, get some drinks. You guys split it up, and you just try to stream it. If it doesn't work out, you watch something else. Like you said, turn it on the radio. But the streaming is weird because you never know, can I get the game here? There's so many streaming services now. It's like you got to have 15 different subscriptions just to watch a single game. But we're definitely going to be streaming it here and watching a little bit later this afternoon. 'Cause, like you said, it's must-see TV with Arkansas, Oregon State.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.